Hello, I'm Jake Boudreau, civic journalist at Tell Community Television. With me today is the Liberal candidate for the new federal riding of Breton-Canso-Antigonish. Welcome, Jaime Battiste.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
So I'm sure after 2 terms as Member of Parliament for Sydney, Victoria, that you're well known in some parts and many parts of the riding, but there might be some that might not know you as well. So perhaps if you don't mind talking a little bit about yourself, perhaps what you did before politics and how you got into the political arena.
Thank you, Jake, for having me. It's great to come down to the studio. Got a chance to play the guitar a bit, talk about music, talk about my cousin Lee Cremo. Yes, I've been a member of Parliament for 6 years now in the Sydney Victoria riding, which when we had the electoral boundaries changed, that now I hope to represent Cape Breton-Canso-Antigonish. I live in the community of Eskasoni. My mother came from the community of Budladek. My grandmother lived in Canso for a while, so I've got a really good connection to this area. My background is law. I went to law school, graduated in 2004, went on to academia after that. My parents are academics for more than 30 years. They actually met at Harvard University in the 70s. And so I've spent a little bit of time in academia. I was the senior advisor to the chief of Eskasoni when Chief Charlie Joe Dennis was there. I had a good relationship with Arishat, as many of Crane Cove Seafood does a lot of work with Arishat. I've been in this community before and all over this kind of region as we try to promote the fisheries and grow the fisheries in this area because it's such an economic driver in this area. And yes, I've spent the last 6 years as a member of Parliament. I've had different roles as Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Parliamentary Secretary to Northern Affairs. I had a run for the Liberal leadership for a while that people might remember me from. And, when I was doing that, it was because I felt that we needed an Atlantic voice in the leadership race. Of course, I had several conversations with Mark Carney during that time, and I realized that he was the right person for this time that we're going through. And I know you have other questions on that, but I think that the real crux of this election is what do we do with the United States now? What do we do with the Donald Trump administration? We're getting through the betrayal of our closest trading partner and our closest ally, basically telling people that they want to annex Canada and make us the 51st state. And this election is really going to be about who's the best position to negotiate and to stand up to Donald Trump. And I think that's Mark Carney, and I think that's what this election is going to be about.
Based on your experiences and the skills you've acquired in your lifetime, how do you think they make you a good fit to be or continue in this case as a member of Parliament representing this area?
Well, I think the thing that I've sold people the most about what I believe about leadership, it's about collaboration. It's about conversations. One of the things that I said is that, we need in Cape Breton Island and throughout Nova Scotia to have a better relationship between federal, provincial, municipal, and Mi'kmaq governments. There's tremendous potential if we work together. I've been able to take that collaborative approach in Cape Breton right now. We're going through an economic boom, and I truly believe it's because all governments are working together now. We're working collaboratively, and I think if we can build on that model across Canada, that's what's going to create a strong economy. That's what's going to create less division, and we can figure out how to work together. And that's really where my skills, as before I was a member of Parliament, I was the treaty education lead for Nova Scotia that had to sit down with Mi'kmaq communities and the province and iron out a memorandum of understanding on how we were going to move treaty education forward in this province. And it was because of that collaboration, it was because of that approach, it was because of that being able to sit down with people. I knew that being a member of Parliament would be something that I think I could create success in areas.
Now, why did you decide to reoffer to be a member of Parliament after a couple of terms?
I think this election is the most important in our history. And, they say that a lot of people will say that every election, but we've never encountered a time where our closest partner, ally, is openly threatening to annex Canada and make us the 51st state, and threatening hardships, economic hardships, if we don't do that. And I wanted to be here to be one of the members of Parliament that support Mark Carney and say, we're going to stand up to Trump. And, Mark Carney is possibly the most qualified prime minister we've had in our country's history, especially when it comes to economics. He went to Harvard Business School. He has his PhD from Oxford in economics. Like, if there's someone who understands how to push back on Donald Trump financially and economically, it's going to be Mark Carney. And from his work with the Bank of Canada and with the Bank of England during moments of crisis, he's in the best position possible to know how to push back, how to stand up for Canada, and ensure that we never become the 51st state.
So as you see it right now, what are the major issues facing this new federal riding of Cape Breton-Canso-Antigonish?
Well, I think the biggest things is what are we going to do about the tariffs? This is something that not only we're looking at what the Americans are doing in tariffs, but the Chinese as well. This is going to have profound impacts on the fisheries. It's going to have profound impacts on forestry. I don't think that there's a business or a community that's not impacted by what the Trump administration and China are doing. And we're caught in the middle of this, and we need someone who's going to be able to shepherd us through this. And like I said, Mark Carney, with the qualifications he has, he's in the best position to get us through this tough time. And let's make no mistake, the next 4 years are going to be volatile. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of the global consciousness about what we're doing on trade. There's a lot of folks out there that are talking about their countries first, America first, Canada first. They're always looking at, instead of cooperation and collaboration, which I believe in, they're all talking about how do we look out for ourselves. And this populism is growing, but I think Canadians are rejecting that. I think Canadians are saying that we know that the economies work best when we work together, when we're able to trade our lobster and our crab to China, when we're able to trade our lobsters to the United States, when we're able to do all of these things and work together with multiple trading partners. And I think that's why Mark Carney has gone across to France, to England, to ensure that we have more options out there. And that's what I believe Carney's offering that no one else can offer, because he's really has his sights set on diversifying our economy, making sure that we have multiple trading partners, but making sure we take away all of the boundaries to trades that are interprovincially that we've had in place, because we really need to have one economy in Canada that's strengthening. What we really need to do is protect our country. And I was on hand with him on Tuesday of this week for a big announcement about increasing our Navy spending. One of the things that we need to do is protect our country. We cannot rely on the United States anymore for this. We have, I was there when he was talking about making sure that Atlantic Canadians are buying, we're making submarines, we're making destroyers. We really need to become united as a country and realize it's within our best interests to work together, remove the obstacles, and make sure that our country continues to be strong and our economy continues to grow.
Now, as far as the issues facing this new riding here, what solutions or strategies would you employ to address these? Now, you talked about collaboration and things like that. Is that basically how you see things?
I always think collaboration is how we move forward. And I think that if we do this with all 4 levels of government, people will talk about 3 levels of government. I always talk about the Mi'kmaq, because we've seen just how much the potential when we all work together. And there's a lot of things that are going to happen over the next 4 years. There's an instability that we have, and what we need is a leader that for this time, for this moment, who has the economic credentials. And so I keep going back to Mark Carney, because, while I was in the Liberal leadership, I was talking about things like the environment. We know in Cape Breton, we've had such significant disasters from Hurricane Fiona. We've had floods, we've had fires, we've had record snowfalls. Things are just, and when I went to the United Nations multiple times as a member of Parliament, they all told us the same thing, that the coastal communities and northern communities were going to have the impacts of climate change the worst. And that's Cape Breton, that's Nova Scotia, that's the north. And we really have to put a lot of our efforts into making sure that we're ready and we're going to be resilient through these climate disasters. But while we look to the future of what's going to happen around climate change, we are still in a place where it's so volatile, because we don't know what our closest trading partners are going to do tomorrow. We don't know what what tariffs they're going to put in place, and we don't know what China's going to do in response. And so Canada's in this position where we really have to strengthen our economy, and we really have to work collaboratively through provincial boundaries to make sure that we're strengthening our country.
So as you know, this riding has changed. It's a new federal riding, and now includes parts of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, all of Richmond County, town of Port Hawkesbury, Victoria County, Inverness County, Guysborough County, and Antigonish Town and County. So it's a new riding. It's a different riding, and it's geographically vast, I guess would be an accurate way to describe it. So how have you been campaigning so far, and what are your plans for the days and weeks ahead, campaigning and trying to cover this very large riding?
Yeah, and it's a very large riding, but it's also, I would argue, the most beautiful riding in all of Canada. I mean, every day I'm knocking on doors close to the ocean. Every day I'm knocking on doors that are along the Bredora Lake. It's, there are people in Toronto right now in concrete jungles knocking on doors where nothing but concrete and development, where I get to be in this scenic drive every single day as I get up. And so it's a beautiful riding. It's got some amazing scenery. It's got amazing golf. It's got amazing hiking. But it will be a challenge to get to all of the different areas. When you have large rural ridings like this, door knocking isn't the biggest thing, but being seen in all the events. And being a member of Parliament for 6 years, what you really have to do is know what the important events are in Lordways, in Shetty Camp, in Arishat, in Budladek. You really have to figure out where you can be most visible. But one of the things is that we've committed to as a government is making sure that everyone is connected through Wi-Fi, and that we're connecting all the households, making it easier to provide services for people. And we'll probably have to have multiple offices moving forward, but everything is available online. But you know what, I've got a great staff who's been doing things for 6 years now, and they know how to help people through these times. And I inherited a lot of them from Mark Eiking, who was there before. And so I've got experienced staff that know how to help people, whatever your challenges are, whether it's Antigonish, whether it's Arishat, whether it's Eskasoni. They have the ability and the experience to help people out. The challenge is always for the MP to be visible, seen, and to be able to make time for all of the various small communities in the riding.
Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of what I'm sure is a busy campaign schedule to come down to our studio here in Arishat and answer my questions and speak with our viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Jake.